All right. I did want to also say that you can chat questions, but the best thing to do would be to raise your hand, just because the chat won't always show up in the video. That's not something that's recorded all the time. So it's best to raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. And I do welcome them, but sometimes I get on a roll and then I keep going. And so I'll try and pay attention. It's usually pretty good about letting me know right in my face when there is a question. So welcome to Homemaker University. And those of you in attendance know me, but my name is Rachel Kepner. For those that don't, I am a mother of 13 children. I've been a homemaker for 29 years. And I am passionate about motherhood and about homemaking in particular. I am also, as a side note, a full-time college student right now. So I'm grateful for all the things I learned about homemaking that made it possible for me to be away from my family so much. I want to tell a little bit about my homemaking background. I actually was a very messy child. You can ask my mother. My sister and I always shared a bedroom, and we always made an enormous mess, terrible mess. And my mom would get so fed up that she would shut us in our room and say, "You can't come out until this room is clean, young ladies." I'm sure, maybe you have never heard that, but that was a regular thing with us. And so we would twiddle our thumbs or, just kind of walk around. It was really overwhelming. It was a great big mess, and we really didn't know where to start. So my mom would maybe knock on the door an hour, 2 hours later, and the room would still be a mess, but I would be organizing my sock drawer or brushing the Barbie's hair or organizing their lives and clothes, but of course not picking up my own. So that gives you a background. I am not a naturally tidy person. I have to work at it. I've had to develop that over the years. I married very young, and I was pretty clueless when I got married because I had never lived outside my home. So I'd never dealt with roommates. I'd never had to do my own dishes. I mean, I did the dishes. We had chores at my house. I knew how to make cookies and fry an egg, but I really did not know how to be a homemaker and take care of a home. So it was interesting because my husband is a very good cook, and it's because of him that we survived, I think. But it was a real revelation for me to who's doing the dishes, and what it was kind of a mess. Then we ended up having babies, and pretty soon the chaos got to be so much that I knew I needed to learn how to do this homemaking thing. I could not do it on my own. Well, I needed to learn to do it on my own. Basically, I needed to learn some skills that I still had not learned. I had 4 children at the time. My oldest was 5. And I finally decided to look into how to be a homemaker, because doing it just by the seat of my pants wasn't working. I found this book that actually I felt was old at the time. I think it had been written in the late 70s, early 80s. It's called Confessions of an Organized Homemaker. And it was the first homemaking book that I really read. And it gave me some ideas on how to do systems and some things, and it really did help me. I also, as time went on and I had 5 babies, I learned about Fly Lady. And if you've ever heard of her, you can Google that. She has some great systems. At the time, it was a lot of email reminders. And as a mom, and the internet was new, and I was on discussion boards, that worked great for me because I could check my email all the time, because I was anyway. I understand that she has developed an app and things now, so it's a little different, but that really helped me. And then, of course, just trial and error. We moved a lot. And so I learned to get rid of things. I learned that I didn't want to take everything with me because that was a pain in the neck. I will share at the end of our class some of my current favorite resources that I still use. I feel like learning is a lifelong journey, and we're always changing. Our situations are always changing, and we have to do different things for our different circumstances at different times in our lives. So it's okay. I want to say up front, there's not a perfect system. There's not a perfect way of doing things that will work forever and evermore in your life. Hallelujah, amen. You will need to adapt and change. That's just the human experience. And so I want to give you permission to do that and let you know that that's normal, and everybody has to do that now and then, as I'm sure you probably already know, because you've lived life too. Necessity is the mother of invention, and we all get to a point where we say, okay, something's got to change. I need to adapt things to make things work for today. So just know that you have permission. Okay, I'm going to give you a list here of what this course will provide for you. This course over these next 7 weeks will provide you principles of personal success. If you follow them, they will give you inspiration on what to do or some ideas. It will give you some tips and things that have worked for me, ideas that have worked for our family. And this course will give you a framework for creating order and structure through the use of systems. Now, I will give you some ideas of systems, but I won't give you this is the system and this is what you must do to follow it exactly. I will give you ideas, and so that you can develop your own that will work for your unique family and circumstances. We will also provide in this course some assignments and accountability. And I find that this is great. I am involved in an addiction program, and I'm a food addict as a side note, but I have found that having accountability is a very powerful thing when you're changing your life or trying to improve yourself. So that is something this course will provide you, as you will get assignments each week. And then the next time we meet, you will be accountable for those assignments. Now, I'm not going to grade you. I'm in college, so I know how stressful taking classes or tests can be. This isn't that kind of course. Hopefully you'll do it, but hopefully just the idea that we will discuss it next time we meet will be enough to help you to be motivated to finish your assignment. The last thing this course will provide is support and encouragement. I know that homemaking can be hard. Life gets crazy, things get out of order, and everybody needs to hear it's okay. Everybody needs to hear you can do it. Everybody needs to know that they can keep trying. And so that is something that this course will do. Some things that this course will not provide is I will not be giving you specific daily plans that you need to do. You will not receive my checklist of what I think you should do. You will also, we will not receive, I will not give you specific menus or shopping lists. I feel really strongly that this is such an individual family thing. It's hard enough when two people come together as a couple in a household to decide what kind of things you eat or how you shop. So I'm not going to be giving you specific lists of that. I will share the things that I do, not in today's class, but in future class. But I won't be giving you those specifics. I also will not be giving you specific chore charts that you should have for yourself or for your kids. I will share the things that we do and share some things that we've used in the past that have worked, but you will need to decide what works best for your family, and we'll give you some help in creating those things for yourself. So don't feel like you're on your own. Also, I won't be giving you, as I said before, customized systems. I will share what I do, give you some ideas for creating the systems that will work best for you. Okay. So having said all of that, I'm going to move on to today's subject. Today's class is about establishing routines. Now, you may already do this. You may already, I think everybody has some kind of routine. Everybody gets up in the morning for the most part, and everybody has some things to do before they can get their day going, right? We need evening routines as well. This was kind of a big revelation for me. I didn't realize how powerful a routine could be. I just figured, you just do what you need to do next. I've always been kind of a fly by the seat of my pants person. So learning this was really helpful for me. Now, why should we have routines? Well, if you've ever heard of the term decision fatigue, I think that's the biggest reason in my book. We all get overwhelmed by decisions that we have to make in our lives. And have either of you ladies experienced this decision fatigue? Yeah. When it's just like, oh, if I have to decide one more thing today, I'm just going to crash. I'm just going to shut the door and just hide under my covers, right? We all have had that. One of my favorite educators, Charlotte Mason, said, "We are all mere creatures of habit. We think our accustomed thoughts, make our usual small talk, go through the trivial round, the common task, without any self-determining effort of will at all. If it were not so, if we had to think, to deliberate about each operation of the bath or the table, life would not be worth living. The perpetually repeated effort of decision would wear us out." So this is one reason why routines and habits are so important. And I'm going to share my screen really quickly. I have a little slideshow here. All right. Hello. And let's see, let's make this bigger. Okay. Here we are. Welcome. So today's class again is establishing routines. I'm going to read you this poem, and you can read it with me, but I'll just read it out loud. It says, "I am your constant companion. I am your greatest helper or heaviest burden. I will push you onward or drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. I am the servant of great people, and alas, of all failures as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I am not a machine, though. I work with the precision of a machine, plus the intelligence of a person. You may run me for profit or run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you. Who am I? I am habit." So I think that we all have experienced some kinds of habits. Everybody has habits, whether they're good or bad, but they can run our lives or they can make us better people. Habits are something that's powerful. If you've ever experienced, well, if you drive, you've driven on autopilot, right? If you go to the same places at the same times, or sometimes I know I drive somewhere or I'm going somewhere and I turn the wrong way and I think, oh, I thought I was going to this place that I go to every day, which is in the same direction, but then you find that you went somewhere else. We don't have to think and focus heavily when we're driving, because we've done it so many times, our subconscious kind of takes over. And that is a place of real effectiveness, is when our subconscious can be driving. And I don't just mean in a car. I know in my schooling, sometimes I overthink things. So I will study something, but I get so nervous and anxious that I overthink it, and then I cannot access my subconscious, where all the information is actually in my subconscious, especially when trying to memorize something. If we let go and let our subconscious mind, if we've trained our subconscious mind, then we can let it go and we can move more on autopilot. And this relieves the pressure of decision fatigue for us. So that is why routines are a powerful element to our homemaking. Okay, so our step one for our establishing our routines, I feel that the first thing we need to do is to set some priorities. One of my favorite books about this is called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. And I listen to this audiobook probably every 6 months, if not more often, just because I need the reminder. It's a great resource for really prioritizing in your life. And he talks about how the term priorities anymore in our modern world, people say the word priorities and they think like, oh, that's like 10 things, a dozen things, where the origin of the word is actually one thing. Now, we can't really have just one thing that's the priority. We only have one priority and nothing else matters. But we can prioritize a lot fewer things than we do right now. Because if everything in our lives is a big priority, then nothing takes priority. So it can't be all or nothing. We've got to decide. We've got to make those decisions up front. Then they can be on autopilot. Then we don't have to decide every day. Is making my bed important? We will just get so caught up in the thick of thin things. We need to already have those things decided, and that's what priorities do for us. He tells a story in the book Essentialism about one time when his wife was having a baby. And she had had the baby. He was in the hospital. They were all basking in the glow of this little new person. And he had a message from work that he needed to make this presentation at a meeting. And he thought, oh my goodness, why do I need to do that? And he thought, but I am the guy that gets things done. I am the one that everyone can count on. I need to follow through with this. I really don't want to. My wife and newborn are here. I want to just be with them. But he felt this pressure from a manager that he really needed to do this presentation. So I can't remember if he went to the meeting or if it was an online meeting, but he attended this meeting and he made this presentation. And he said when he showed up, the client who his manager had insisted needed him to make this presentation looked at him and said, why are you here? Your wife just had a baby. And he made the presentation and he said it was so unimportant. It was so, didn't really matter. And he had a huge epiphany realizing this is stupid. He's right. I don't need to be here. This is silly. Now, his wife wasn't making a stink or anything, but he knew what his priority needed to be in that moment. And what he chose to do was not it. And so we all have situations like that, whether we work or whether we're at home or whatever it is. Just if everything is a priority, then nothing is. So we need to make a list. One of my personal heroes, his name Julie B. Beck, and she said, there was a time when I needed to prioritize. And in one of a sacred meeting I had between me and the Lord, he gave me 3 categories that I have worked from, and they have been a guide in my life. So these are the 3 categories she prioritizes her life with. The categories are: first, essential things; second, necessary things; and third, nice to do things. She started writing those things down. So what this looks like is you sit down and you make a list of the things that you do in your life. Now, this can be as specific or as general as you want it to be. If you are talking about a homemaking capacity, you might want to write down, I need to do the laundry, I need to do the dishes, I need to XYZ, right? But you may not need to write down every little thing like brush my teeth, and you might want to write down make your bed, but you just decide what things this list needs to have. Just make a big general brainstorm one list. You're not prioritizing yet. So you're just making a list, and then you look at those 3 categories and you can take the things that are on your list and put them in the different categories. So while doing the dishes is necessary, it might not be essential, or it might be. But having a prayer and time in your scriptures every morning, that might be an essential thing. Kissing your kids before you put them down to bed at night, that might be an essential thing, or having a family prayer. So you just have to really, I use prayer as a way to decide those things. But those are the 3 categories that have really helped me in my life, because some things you might think, oh, this is necessary or this is essential. But when you ponder it, maybe making a floral arrangement for an activity you're in charge of might not really be essential or even necessary. It might just be nice to do. And so that's something that can give you, it's a barometer that can help you know what you should be doing. Okay, so we've got step one. We're going to come back to this list because this is one of your assignments. So just be thinking about this. Okay, step one was setting priorities. Step two is to simplify. Keep things simple. Make sure when you're writing down a list like this or creating a routine that you have realistic expectations. Don't let this be a place where perfectionism makes you freeze, where it causes you to think, no, I'm not doing it right, or I need to do this perfectly, or I need to have every single thing written down. You will be setting yourself up for failure if you have unrealistic expectations. One way that I find with routines, you don't have to have a set time to do your routines, especially as a mother, or especially, I know there was a lady in our previous class that she is a working mom, but a lot of the work she does is online. And so she might have an early morning meeting with her East Coast coworkers. And so her day doesn't always start the same. It doesn't matter if you do it at a set time. That is not the important thing. If that helps you, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can connect some of these routines with what's going on naturally in your day. So you might wake up in the morning and when your feet hit the floor, you have a routine. Or you might just attach your routines to meals. In our house, because I don't go into school, I go to school full time, but I don't go into class on the same time every day of the week because of different school schedules. So usually it's just I get up and then I do my routine. We do have a set time for when we gather around our kitchen table in our family, because I have two daughters that are teenagers that go to an early morning class at the high school. So they go to that class and they are done at 7:30. Then they come home and we can have our breakfast and time with our family, scripture study and prayer around the table at 8 a.m. So for us, using that time has worked well because we already have something we're accountable to in the morning. So that helps. You can tie your routines to the school hours. Maybe you have to take kids to school and you want to just stay in your sweats for a while. You may want to just take the kids to school without getting ready yet, and then start your routine after you come home from taking kids. That works fine too. Whatever works for you. You can attach things to lessons, to events, to anything that happens that you will help remind you of when you need to do your routine next. Okay. Like I said, setting times helps if that works for you. I know when I was a stay-at-home mom and I just had my whole day before me, sometimes I needed to set a time. I needed to give myself some limits. Now you're the only one accountable to this, and we'll talk about tools you can use that will help you to be accountable. But this is where I think being a homemaker, especially stay-at-home mom, is hard because you are only accountable to yourself, possibly your husband or the rest of your family. When you're a working mom or dad, you are accountable to those that employ you. Or when you're a student, you're accountable to your teachers. So sometimes being accountable to a time or an hour might be helpful. Okay, now here's where I also want to go back to the book Essentialism about simplifying your life. A lot of times we let things into our lives that are super fun or that are exciting or that we really like to do or that our kids might like to do or that we feel that we should do that aren't always necessary. We have a society right now where there's a lot of pressure to give our children many opportunities and many activities, but they're not always the best thing for our lives or for our kids even. A lot of times we feel we need to sign our kids up for things because it's best for them, and they may not even enjoy it. They may not even use it in later years. It might not be necessary and especially not essential. It might just be nice to do. And so sometimes we need to take a hard look at the things we're involved in, the extracurricular things, and say, is this something that is serving our family? Is this something that is serving our lives and our schedules? And it's okay to quit some things. And sometimes it's okay to not give into the peer pressure of my child has to be doing XYZ. All the other boys are in football. My son should be. If they feel really strongly about it, if you feel really strongly about it, if it's something that is serving you, then, that's something you and your family should decide. I usually like to decide those things with prayer, but there are seasons when you can say, you know what, we're simplifying this season. We are just going to enjoy each other's company, or whatever it is that you want to do. So really take a hard look at that as you're making your priority list. All right. An example of this is a story by Michelle Craig. She talks about her church group and how they had a simulation for a pioneer trek. She said the theme was, what will you take with you and what will you leave behind? And she says, I have thought about that a lot. Each of us is on a trek. We may not be trekking with a handcart through the plains of Wyoming, but we are trekking nonetheless. We trek through long days and nights of sick babies, running carpools, helping with homework, and working to make ends meet. We trek through relationship challenges, financial challenges, and mental and physical health challenges. We trek through overwhelming assignments and our daily list of things to do. Some of us may be trekking through grief, or even loneliness or boredom. Although we all experience different challenges during this life, one thing is for certain, we all have them. So what do we take with us? And what do we leave behind? I want to fill my cart with my beliefs and standards, with relationships, with things that build character. Those things are of eternal importance. When we come to understand what is essential, it becomes easier to lighten our load. We eliminate excess, set priorities, and reduce distractions that could get us stuck in the mud while other handcarts and wagons move on. If we are weighed down with the extraneous, it is time to set these things aside and fill our carts with the things that matter most, unquote. So, as we build our routines, I'm going to encourage you to simplify. Don't put 10 things on your routine list, okay? Only put those things, prioritize, triage, make sure it's things that are really important, really essential, the things that will help you have a good day. For me, that is my morning scripture time. Every morning, if I want to have a good day, I really prioritize reading my scriptures, having some time alone with God. I say a prayer, I read some scriptures, and I write in a journal some things that are on my mind, or I may just copy a scripture that day. It doesn't have to be a long journal entry. I will do whatever I need to do that day. I may need to record some things I'm experiencing because I know in the past that it has really helped me, and it still helps me to look back on things that I've written down. So that's just for me. Your mileage may vary, but for me, if I want to have a good day, I need to do that. Now, I don't have to do everything every morning, but that is one of my essential things on my morning routine list. Another essential thing on our family's routine list is that time around the breakfast table that I talked about, so that I can connect with my children at least twice every day. So an evening routine, I make sure we have our family prayer before we go to bed, because with me being in school, I am gone so much that I need some time to reconnect with my children. Also, at the end of the day, one of our evening routines is, because we still homeschool and my children have to be pretty independent in their homeschooling. My husband is home during the day, but they really are pretty independent. They check in with me each night. So that's something on my evening routine list that is very important. We have a check-in book. I go through their subjects and what they did that day and make a little check mark. They get a little piece of candy for everything they did. I know, bribery, but it's working right now. So that's what we do. And it's a way for us to connect. So that's something important to me. If those things are not done, then my days and evenings don't run smoothly. other than that, of course, I have to get dressed. Of course, I have to brush my teeth. Those things kind of, I just can put those in a general grooming category, right? So as you create your schedule, just keep those things in mind to simplify. Don't add too much. Don't overwhelm yourself, because you will be setting yourself up for failure if you think, my perfect world, I would do these 12 things before I even see my children. That's not realistic. It's not realistic. So be realistic. Okay. Step 3, write down your routines. This might seem like a no-brainer. And for me, I often think, oh, I'll just remember, but I don't. So that's one reason. Another reason is there's something powerful about writing things down. It's like an extra measure of accountability. First, you have to think through it, and then you actually have to write it down. And the very process of writing makes it real. You can see it, and then you can be reminded of it. So your assignment this week is to sit down and make simple morning and evening routines for yourself and or your family schedule. Now, if you want to start very simple, just make a routine for you. You don't feel like you have to schedule everyone in your household right now. Now, if you really need that, go ahead and you feel like you can do that because your personal routines are fine. That's great. Now, one thing I will caution you on, and you probably know, as I know the two of you that are here in my class today are both mothers, is children are unpredictable, right? You may arrive somewhere and somebody is sick and you have to turn around and go home and all your plans just went out the window, or you might have a diaper blowout or whatever it is. So you know that you have to be flexible. That's why sometimes it's good to just create your own routines for you, because you can control yourself. You can't always control everything around you, especially not children. Okay. So the second thing with writing down your routines is that this should take you no more than 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. This is not rocket science. This is not your dissertation paper. This is simply just really getting realistic and saying, okay, for me, I need to make my bed every day. If I make my bed, I know that I will have a good day. There's actually there's a talk on YouTube about this that is actually very inspiring. It was a speech given by an admiral in the Marines, and I can't remember his name right now. I need to look that up. I couldn't remember the name Wednesday night either for that class, so I'll have to look it up. But you can Google it, I'm pretty sure. Do a search on YouTube. And it's making your bed, the power of making your bed or something like that. And he wrote about how he was one of the frogmen in the Marines, which is a very elite group, and how difficult that was. But what he learned in the military was the importance of making his bed and doing a good job at it every day, and how that affected the rest of his life, which seems kind of silly, but I have found that that is actually one thing that helps me have a good day. It's just something I can look at and go, I have accomplished this. It's not like the laundry or the dishes where you look and 2 minutes later, there's another dish in the sink, or baby has pulled something else out. This is something you can look at, you can control, you can keep it that way. Not always, I mean, life happens, but for the most part, you have those sharp sheets pulled tight. And when you come into bed at night, you can pull that down and go, look, if that's all I accomplished today, I made my bed. I know I have had days like that. So that might be something. That's just a side note. But really, it should not be anything too big when you're doing this assignment, okay? Be kind to yourself. Don't make your list so long and ambitious that you won't complete them, because then you will just feel worse about yourself. I know as a homemaker, a lot of times, and this goes for men or women, it doesn't matter if you have kids or not, we feel bad about ourselves if we don't accomplish some things, especially if we have grandiose plans and we write them down and then we fail, especially if something's too overwhelming. So be kind, be practical, be realistic about what you can do every morning and every evening. And if it is only making your bed, if it is only reading your scriptures, if it is only having a family prayer, that is enough. Okay, so I'm going to share some of my routines that I do. I already shared about my morning scripture time, my devotion time. Of course, there's grooming, our family time, and then I usually try and pack a lunch. This doesn't always happen. I go to school about 40 minutes away from where I live, and Right now, this semester, my schedule is so packed, I don't even have a lunch scheduled. So I really need to pack myself something to just nibble on in between classes. Then I also have, school helps me have a set time that I need to leave. And that is another one of my priorities is to make sure that I leave on time. Another little funny thing, because my younger kids are a little bit neglected because I'm gone so much, we have a secret handshake that we do before I leave every day. And that has to be done. That's a priority. If I don't do that, then they don't feel secure in me leaving. So I have to make sure that I make time for that. It's not long, but there's trouble if I don't do it. So we have to do that. You should keep your morning. Well, let me back up. We need to go to our next step. Did you guys have any comments or questions about any of these things? Let me go back one. Okay, no questions? All right. So step 4 is to be consistent. This is the hardest thing, I think, for any of us in our lives, is consistency. And it's one of the most important things whether it's homemaking or parenting or whatever else we have to do in our lives. Consistency is one of those challenges we face as mortals, because as our human natures, we kind of tend to chaos. So being consistent is a battle, but when we can conquer that, it can be a huge blessing in our lives. We should at least try to, like I said before, life happens, babies get sick, things happen, but we should try and keep those routines every single day. If it's not something we can keep every single day, it shouldn't be on our routines. That's an indication that that may not be an essential thing for us, or it may not be the season for that to be an essential thing for us. Our routines are the blessings that keep our homes running smoothly and keep ourselves and our families feeling secure, even when the weird things in life happen, difficult times happen. I know 3 years ago, at the end of September, my husband had a stroke, and it really rocked our world. It was a very big deal. And it was so chaotic, and we didn't know what was going to happen, if he would recover. I had to be gone so much. And this was back when I was home all the time. My children were not used to me being gone. I was gone a lot. And I just really had an epiphany that in order for us to survive that experience intact, that my children needed that consistency every day. They knew that we would have prayer every morning before I left to go to the hospital and be with my husband who was unconscious. Those things were something they could hold on to. They knew that they would hug and kiss mom after scriptures at night. So even though dad wasn't there, even though the future was unknown, those routines helped us so much, grounded us, and kept us secure and feeling like things, part of life at least, was still normal. So there is power in those routines and in that consistency. Now we're going to talk about tools that help us be consistent. Of course, when I was first a young mom, we didn't have phones. I didn't have things that would ding every once in a while. And I find that those help me. They really help me to know what to do next. I can't remember everything, especially when we have a lot on our plate. We might need some artificial reminders. So set phone alarms. There's little reminders you can set on your phones. I use my online calendar so much. I look at it after every class, I think, to see what's next, to see what's happening that evening, to see what things are due. Planners are another good tool. This is one of my favorite planners, and I use it for my weekly scheduling. It's by in the Leafy Treetops, and it's a mom planner. She has several different designs and layouts. And that's something that has helped me. You may or may not be a planner person. And I find as I get busier, I don't get to make it as pretty as I used to. You know, you can use stickers and you can make it as much fun or not as you want, but sometimes those can help. There are lots of different apps that are available. I'm sure you know of some of them, or your friends and family members might know of some. I know there's an app for helping you drink enough water. There's apps for helping you exercise. There's smartwatches for helping you track your walking or your exercise, your food, all of those things. So just find some tools that work for you. Everybody has different things that work for them. Another thing with consistency, remember the power of habits. Remember how much that will help you to be able to work on autopilot. And so that consistency will help you with that. Remember to reduce your decision fatigue. If you establish some routines, it will help you not have to decide every day. Okay, now I want to share some of the resources that I really like right now. One of which, this is a book, but she also has a YouTube channel. It's called At Home with Madame Chic. I know it's backwards, but this is by Jennifer Scott. She has a YouTube channel called The Daily Connoisseur. And her whole premise was when she was a high school student, she went and lived as an exchange student in France. And she lived with a family who had a mother at the head of the household. Well, of course, there was a father, but that she was the homemaker. And she just set such an example of consistency and order in the home that it inspired this young woman to, she saw how effective that was in a home in making the lives of everyone in the family's life work well. And so she's a great resource, Jennifer Scott. She also has a TED Talk about capsule wardrobes. And in going back to simplicity, I am a strong believer, and I have done this over the years. I think ever since I started the Fly Lady, when I clear back, this was like in the year 2000, and I was using the Fly Lady method. She has a thing where she says people should dress to the shoes. If you get up every day and you get dressed and you have shoes on, then you're ready for anything as a homemaker. Now, I think everybody is different, and so you don't have to dress to the shoes, but maybe deciding what your ready is. For me, I have my little mom uniform. That doesn't mean I wear the same things every day, but I like to dress up a little bit. I'm a dress/skirt wearer. There are some days where I wear jeans, but you might be a jean and t-shirt mom, but you're ready for the day. And that's another way you can cut out decision fatigue. I know Steve Jobs, he wore the same thing every day. That's not to say the exact same shirt and jeans, but he had kind of a uniform. And it was just what he wore. It was so that he could take that decision making out of his day. For him, that was something that he did. In our family, for a while, we did a color coding thing. And I still have some kids, even adult kids, that still follow this, but I was looking to reduce my laundry. And I was looking to reduce the decisions for myself. And I thought, hey, for my kids too. So I made a different color for each day. And then I went through everyone's laundry and I gave them 2 shirts of that color. And so they knew Monday was red day. Pick between your 2 red shirts. And so you don't have to do that. That was kind of complex. I had 13 children in my home at the time. So it was something that I did to simplify my life. But I still find that now, especially when I'm in a hurry and I might be running a little late, I can just go, oh, it's Tuesday, it's pink day. I'm going to wear one of these 2 shirts. And it just reduced my decision fatigue. So that's another way of simplifying. And so that's another way, is to do some kind of capsule wardrobe. And then again, I mentioned the book Essentialism. This is one, even though he's writing this for anyone, this is not specifically for homemakers, it is such a blessing to simplify. And then the book that I mentioned earlier, and I'm not sure that it's still in print, but The Confessions of an Organized Homemaker. This is a great one for, she has some great ideas on making filing systems for your bills or chore charts or your cleaning schedule, that kind of thing. There's lots of other resources out there. And so I'm sure you have your favorites. Another YouTube channel I like is called The Minimal Mom. And if you're really interested in simplifying your life, your schedule, your clutter in your house, she's great. She's very uplifting and positive. It's The Minimal Mom. So those are some other resources. So I want to get specific on your assignments this week. this week, we are all going to make a priority list, and we're going to make a big, long list of all the things that we do. So that priority list I talked about earlier, you're just going to write down everything. It's a big brainstorming list. There's no right or wrong answers. Okay. Then you take that and you divide it into the 3 categories. And if you leave something on that list and it doesn't even make it to nice to do, that's okay. Maybe that's something you can even eliminate, or maybe that's something you need to address at a later time. But put all those things in the 3 categories. It might be essential, it might be necessary, it might be nice to do. So that's the second part of your priority list. So you make that big list, blah, 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 and then you divide it into the 3 categories. Okay. Then from that list, you can better able, and you don't have to take everything from that list and put it in your morning and evening routine. Don't make that mistake. That's too much. But just take from that list and go, what are those things? Like, don't do more than 3 to 5, okay, for your morning or evening routine. What are those things that I need to do? What can I take from that would help me be a more effective homemaker every day? The morning routines, as we talked about, will have things like getting ready, or taking kids to school, or packing lunches, family scripture study, or just a family prayer. Evening routines. I want to talk about evening routines for a minute. Evening routines are something that help your next day be effective. So it might be checking your calendar so you know what the next day has before you, so you don't run around floundering or forget something. Then you have set it in your mind before your head hits the pillow of what's going to happen tomorrow. You can think through your day a little bit. So checking your calendar might be something. You might want to review your meals for the next day, or think through them if you haven't already created a menu. In a later lesson, we're going to talk about making menus and shopping lists. That has been something that has saved me a lot of decision making, is having that already set once a week. You might want to put on your list your family prayer, or your time where you can gather as a family, say, how did the day go? And maybe that can be part of your calendaring too. What do you have tomorrow? What do you have tomorrow? What do you have tomorrow? You can have some accountability with your family on what happened today. So did everyone get their chores done today? That's part of our family check-in with my kids, because I'm not here to know if they did them or not. How did your day go? Do you have anything due tomorrow for school? Those kind of things. That might be something you want to put on an evening routine list. You might want to put on your evening routine list and just put, I know me, as I'm getting older, I have to take a bunch of supplements at night. So I put that on my list. I have my grooming, and then like my vitamins, and then like my prayer. Just think through what will make what you need to do at the end of the day, and also what will help your day the next morning. Okay. So do you have any questions about these assignments here on the list? Okay, sounds good. Let me know if you do have, you can message me. You have my contact information if you have any questions about those assignments. So next Friday morning, we'll have class again at 9 a.m. Bring your new routines that you've written. And you can share them if you want or not. You don't have to. It's not required. I don't need to check them and make sure you did them right or anything. But we're just going to start next week's class discussing how the process was for you and how it went for you to use your routines through this week. So I challenge you to get that done soon so you can actually try them out for a few days and see what's working and what's not. And then we can have that discussion later. So any other further comments or questions? You guys are easy. Hopefully you feel like this is doable. Are you feeling like this is something you can handle this week? Yes. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We're ending a little bit early, but that's a bonus, right? Thank you so much. And we will see you next time, next Friday.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here, ladies. Have a great day.
You too.